really like this. Let's do more of that.
Very specific. No.
Took the deal they were offered. I'm sitting there like,
Yeah, it was all a waiting game, and then you get it where Spider-Man has those hands and those webs, so of course he was gonna stick.
ooh. And also it was like, nah. Sony probably was like, nah, we're cool. Then you start seeing everybody like, nah, motherfucker, I ain't watching shit y'all drop. I was ready too. I was like, I ain't watching shit.
I'm done after that point, right?
The Disney story comes out about the Night Monkey movie.
Like,
With what was it?
you can make it
Tom Holland.
Yeah. You can make Night Monkey, make it an LMD, and sell buckets. Because everybody would assume, but if you never take the mask off of Night Monkey.
Right.
It's just hilarious.
And it's just like,
It'd be like Tom Holland with like a scar.
like, I'm not Peter Parker, I'm Night Monkey.
It'd be like Tomas and Zammot from G.I. Joe.
Cool, like what they did with Green Arrow and Batman. Just make Night Monkey like,
It's
it looks like a spider.
There's ways to do it.
But it's a tarantula, so
Right.
Tarantula Man. Yes, exactly. Like shit. Here's the comics.
Start the presses.
For real, we don't create a whole alternate universe where Spider-Man was bitten by a tarantula instead. See what we did there?
See how that works? All right, let's go ahead and get the show started. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Escaping Podcast.
The best podcast in Colorado Springs when it comes to all things geek, nerdy, and everything in between.
And everything in between stands for whatever you want it to. What do you believe? What do you want?
Yeah.
What's your name? And that social security number would be so handy.
Include those little numbers on the back of your card. We'd appreciate it.
Oh yeah, was it the CVS number?
Yeah. As always, I am Daniel. I am here sitting in Escape Velocity Comics. To my right, I've got
Kelsey for show.
And across from us, that is one beautiful man.
Kind of lonely over here too. Just TJ. That's it.
T to the J.
How you doing, TJ?
I'm doing just fine. I'm doing great.
Yeah, we got started recording right off the gate. We were good to go. No,
I can't believe it.
No technical difficulties.
This is turning into like a well-oiled machine here.
Chugga, choo choo.
Well, as always, we are recording in Escape Velocity Comics.
Got it.
Our ideas, our views, our opinions, our bodies, our souls, our hearts,
our temples.
Our temples do not reflect that of Escape Velocity staff or its building or its crew or its customers or its heart or its soul or its essence. We're just a bunch of assholes with opinions here to talk to you and not have you talk back because that's how podcasts work. It's a one-way machine.
Yes.
Well, but speaking of one-way, though, if any of y'all listening out there and you have questions, you can reach us out on Facebook.
Yeah, Instagram as well.
Instagram. I think
Escaping
you can
Podcast.
you can comment on each one of the podcatcher platforms that you've got there. So.
Mm-hmm. We've also got a Geo in the background. He may chime in from time to time, but
I'm
we
here
are
for about
having
5 minutes. But hello, guys.
That's 5 more minutes than you had with him. So hold on to that. Kelsey, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about status quo changes and how comic books shift and change like the seasons, but like every season they come and go every year. And just like in comic books, things change, but then they always go back to being the same.
That's one of those things you hear in the X-Men books always. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
True that.
But there's actually a lot in these big event books. I mean, for the most part, they're cash grabs that span the entire comic line, and then
exactly.
It's like, I mean, it's become so comical that it's every summer there's an event that's
Right,
going to happen.
right.
Marvel event fatigue was a real thing, and every one of them always had the line of, "After this, nothing will be the same again."
Right. And yet, for some reason, Spider-Man still goes back to living, in Aunt May's basement.
Exactly.
And he can't keep his company afloat. Sure, things weren't the same, but you just
X-Men
gave him...
mansion is rebuilt in the space of a couple of days.
Right.
Then destroyed. It's in Central Park. Then destroyed.
You just got to give the characters enough depression, so that way they are never the same. It's
never let them come out of PTSD.
Give them a couple of cookies, then slide in the broccoli. Like, here you go.
So these event books, they're good for the cash cow that is the comic industry.
Yes.
For the most part, they're hit or miss, but there are some really good ones that hit.
So you just mentioned that, the cash cows. And that's one of the problems we had here is because when you talk about those events that happened in the comic industry that changed, that marked a before and after this event, literally everything is one of those events because, as I like to quote the great prophet Syndrome from The Incredibles, if everything's special, then nothing is.
Then nothing's special.
True that.
And so that really, when you have to, look back through the years and find them, there are a few. there are a few out there that definitely were before and after. But mostly it's like I said, every summer is going to come up the new event. This next one coming up from Marvel is what, Incoming.
Man,
God knows what that is.
I'm not buying it.
You know you're gonna read it.
I'm gonna listen to somebody on YouTube tell me what happened. I'm not. They're not getting my money like that unless it's an X slapped on it.
Yeah, and I got a bad Marvel crack habit. I'm buying it. I know that.
Yeah.
But
I just borrow yours, TJ.
Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you how it turns out.
Thank you.
No, so that was it, right? That was the tough part, trying to find those events that were before and after.
I mean, you get ones that do genuinely change everything, but piss people off, like Secret Empire.
Yeah.
That had such a strong start for me because you see the things that were in place, and they were a little. That was when they hit event after event after event, which wasn't done normally before that. But you had Standoff, which was an event that didn't really get.
Is that the one with Mission Hill when they had the little fragment, Pleasant Hill, and that was I fell for that one.
I bought it.
It was great.
Yeah.
But it was a setup.
It was
low-key,
all a
backdoor
setup.
setup. It was more or less the issue 0 for Secret Empire.
It's one of those things where you watch a movie and it's not a movie for its own sake. It's a movie to set up a franchise.
It was like an issue -7.
Yeah.
You had to buy that, and then you go.
It's like
what did
Thor.
I buy? Hold on a second.
It was like the Thor, the Dark World of the comic books. Like you got to know where the ether comes from. So here's this movie.
Everything else is just window dressing.
Yes.
Yeah. Ether is like a smoke.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
Actually, you're wrong. Ether's not even a stone. Whoever said stone was completely wrong. It's more of a liquid.
So fellas, what are some books that y'all were reading into for this?
As far as like books, if I'm just gonna start on the Marvel side of it,
Indeed.
I'm gonna just go back, and my first favorite event book, which is it's my favorite, and it's also my first. I guess it would be House of M.
Yep.
When I started getting back into comic books. It came out in 2005, and it's basically the tale of Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, who's the daughter of Magneto, but they retconned that out, so it is what it is. Yeah, but back in the day, she was a mutant and Magneto's daughter, Quicksilver's sister. And following the events of Avengers Disassemble, when she went crazy, killed Hawkeye, Jack of Hearts, and maybe another Avenger.
Well, because she's unstable. She's got all the chaos magic running through her. That's kind of hard to maintain and regulate.
Exactly. So in that event, you learn that every time she used her reality warping ability, she lost a little bit of her grasp on reality. So eventually, she snapped and changed reality just down to third. They reeled her back in because Magneto came in out of nowhere. It was like, yo, give me my daughter. We gone. I'm taking her to Genosha. So fast forward, the mutants are having a meeting like, yo, Wanda's...
the Avengers.
Well, Avengers having a meeting too, but the X-Men had to have a meeting prior to that because they was like... Because they came to the Avengers like, yo, Wanda's a mutant. I get it that she's an Avenger. But when mutants wild out and kill people, we have to deal with that.
Yep.
That ramification of that event falls on our shoulders.
And who said that? Do you recall who that was?
Was that Charles?
Was it Charles? No, I think it was Wolverine. Or it was a lot.
Who was it, TJ?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're over here twisting the cord, looking around.
Yeah, remember on page 5, bubble number 2, like Emma.
But that is something that we also see in the Hickman books at the very beginning. They're like, hey, yeah, Sabretooth did some shit right there, but you know what? He's one of us. Yeah. We're going to take care of it. But instead of them just, taking care of it, they team up with the goddamn Avengers.
Yeah, because the X-Men more or less was going to vote to neutralize her. Wolverine's like, yo, if I go crazy, I want y'all to kill me. And everybody look at him like he's crazy. But no, Wolverine goes crazy or gets mind wiped or mind controlled every other year and kills a bunch of people. And nobody bets an eye because that's what Logan does.
He has a history of killing redheads.
Exactly, that too. And the thing is, the Rangers like, no, she's one of us. We need to figure out a way. But Charles and them was like,
So basically, they go and they decide they need to kill her. But what happens when they do that?
Quicksilver was there, and he ran back to Genosha and told Magneto, like, yo, they coming here to kill Wanda, your daughter. We got to do something. And Magneto's like, what will you have me do? Like, she's killed them. Her powers are unchecked. Doctor Strange came and wrangle her in. Professor X can't keep her mind together. Something's bad's going to happen. And sure enough, when all the Avengers get there and the X-Men, it goes white. next thing you know, you jump to an alternate reality where mutants are the dominant species. Like Magneto always wanted the House of M. The heroes fight because they realize this world isn't right. Then at the end of the day, Wanda just utters the phrase, "No more mutants," because she got tired of all the fighting. She did everything she could to make everybody happy. Magneto just wanted mutants to reign supreme, and she gave him that, and it still wasn't enough. She's like, then fuck it. No more mutants. If mutants are the problem, if mutants make me do this, I'm a mutant, so no more mutants. Goes white. Next thing you know, there goes from being 1 million mutants to less than 192 or 198 was the whole number thing they would tagline that with.
And that was a game changer for mutants.
And that was
general.
a game changer too, because right before that, under Grant Morrison's run, mutants were about to become the dominant species in a couple of years because they got popular. They were like celebrities. They had all those X buildings, the X Corporation that Charles put up across the country. The X Mansion was booming. They had kids. They was, like I said, they were celebrities. They was ahead of the game. They was actually winning for once. And then
when M-Day happens.
Yeah, then Wanda came out of nowhere with those magic words, no more mutants. The next thing you know, right back to scratch, square one.
And how'd they all get their powers back?
They eventually got their abilities back. I was going to bring that up too in A versus X, which is another event that quote unquote changed the game because between A versus X and House of M, in the X-Men books alone, we had the Messiah Complex, which when there was a new mutant birth after one that said no more mutants, which was Hope Summers and all that. I recommend buying all the tie-ins and all that.
Best.
Great.
It's pretty incredible.
Great.
Fantastic.
Not the follow ones. Not the whatever, the Messiah War. And
No,
Messiah War was a good time when it went to the future with Apocalypse and Archangel, Gambit, not Gambit, but Beast. Not Beast, Bishop, Strife, and all that was tied in together. And then you get this spin-off of that event where Bishop follows Hope and Cable into the future because we all know Bishop came from a future, but we never knew what went wrong. In that future, Hope was the reason why mutants were subjugated and corralled and put in cages and branded as mutants. So in between all of that, you get the second coming with them coming back to the future, which leads up to A versus X because the Phoenix Force is coming back to Earth.
And that Phoenix Force loves redheads.
Oh, yes. And everybody's like, oh shit, man. She's a redhead. She's the Hope. We see the little fire Phoenix.
It's like teenage version of me. I don't care how bad you are for me, but you got red hair. Let's do this.
Exactly. And flames come out of you from both ends. So it is what it is.
So horrible.
So A versus S. So the Phoenix is coming with. And one of the things that always bothered me or just rubbed me the wrong way was the fact that the Avengers decided we need to get ahead of this. Like, y'all have never, ever dealt with the Phoenix before. When the X-Men was dealing with this, y'all weren't coming to lend a helping hand. So why now? But that's more of a Marvel thing.
Well, and that's something we talked
about.
And
this was out of character for them. Normally, they just let the X-Men handle it. But since, I guess, Nova came, like, oh my God, the Phoenix is coming.
Right.
We got to do something now. But every time there's another planetary threat that involves the X-Men, no one else is there to be found.
That's something we talked about in earlier episodes about how no one regulates the mutants until they decide, oh, you're being too much. Oh, you know what? This is our problem now.
Or Marvel wants a way to create tension.
That's not true. I mean, in the books that I studied for the podcast today was Civil War.
Oh, tell me about Civil War. Was this so the North and the South? They're fighting over slaves.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And so anyway,
versus
it was Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump.
Ooh.
No, and so all right.
See, and the problem with that is they're both the same side.
I know.
So
those two different types of civil.
Yeah. Okay. So
I forget I can't see the air quotes.
So Civil War comes around because out of all the stories that have been ever published about mutants and superheroes, eventually humans want to control them legally.
Yeah.
And I come down in a kind of a weird spot on this, and I'm
because you're white.
Yeah, that's probably.
You like your guns.
So I came down on the side of the white guy in the Civil War. Anyway, so
his eye keeps twitching, folks.
Fundamentally, so it comes down to Iron Man versus Captain America and both their teams, so gold and blue. But the issue is whether or not superheroes, those with powers that can blow up and kill school children in this case, should be allowed to self-regulate. To have the freedom to do whatever they want with their power, just like the freedom of every other citizen. And the truth of the matter is on one side you have well, it turns out to be Tony Stark, Iron Man, who is in favor of the Mutant Registration Act, which is an act that requires those that have superpowers or super empowered individuals to register and then to go through some training to be judged responsible or not. And those that are responsible have the opportunity to become members of superhero teams regionally located by state and regions.
Avengers Initiative.
Yeah.
But what about the unmasking process?
Well, but the thing is, you have to register. You can't register as Iron Man. You have to register as Tony Stark. Who,
Your name is public access.
You mean if this were to happen with pop stars, we'd know what Madonna's real name is?
Mm-hmm.
It's not Madonna?
No, it's M. Adonna.
Oh!
People leave the period out.
Yeah.
It makes sense now.
Yeah. Anyway, so Captain America... Captain America's side is ridiculous, but it is freedom for everybody, and everybody should be able to be who they are without any sort of the government intervention. So this loosely translates into Captain America: Civil War, the movie. Sort of. You have the
loosely,
the Sokovia Accords, but there's a killing of Tony Stark's parents that throws everything off. But nonetheless,
It makes it better. Hold on now.
but it's
That's world
But
building.
anyway, so you
That's
have
world building right there.
So when you think about that, nobody's ever made mutants or superheroes register themselves. And one of the hallmark events in the middle of the story is that Spider-Man comes down on the side with Tony Stark or with Iron Man and publicly unmasks himself as Peter Parker.
Right.
Which
So-
was a big deal. That made like Good Morning, like Good Morning America and shit like that. It was on the newspaper, like.
And it was pretty amazing.
Spider-Man's Peter Parker, like, we didn't know that.
Yeah,
like, but it's the
right,
fact
right.
like he's doing it in a comic book lets you know, like, sometimes comics are big deals.
It
in
was
the real world.
huge, man. It made J. Jonah Jameson like fall out of his chair.
Yeah.
He's there.
That's
and he's
always
just
classic,
like-
like, swallow his cigar, but Parker? Parker? Parker?
At what point does he start paying for yearbook pictures of Parker? You know, like,
Give me pictures of
and they're like, "Sir, you can't come on this high school anymore. I'm so sorry. You're why
There
this rule
was.
exists.
You and R.
need to
Kelly.
leave. You need to-
Yeah, like,
for different reasons.
R. Kelly just looks over him and says, "It isn't fair. It isn't fair."
You can join our club. We have meetings.
well, if I had superpowers, I could hang out with all the kids.
So real quick, the end result of Civil War is that Tony Stark is painted as a villain because he detains certain superheroes on the
Right.
raft, which sends him into an alternate dimension.
The negative zone.
The negative
The
zone.
42.
Yeah, Gate 42. So there's that. But then the other result is that Captain America is killed.
And also
Right.
Ben Foster and they cloned Thor and they wrote Reed Richards very out of character as well. And I'm sorry, but I just don't like the fact how they threw Sue in the Namor's face like, oh, they would sing you.
Yep.
Debate me
Because he's a fish.
Exactly.
Because he's a big fish.
Debate.
They made it.
to bring my army to fight you in your little civil war. Motherfucker, I own the oceans.
And she's there
I
like,
got my own water worlds to worry about. Y'all.
she's just like, "It's all right, Namor. I'm just an invisible little worm."
But then, next thing you know, out of nowhere, here comes Namor with all the Atlantis. Like, it worked. It worked.
Listen, it's this whole thing. Men, women, anyone. You show some booty, you make it disappear. The person's gonna go nuts and say, "Oh man, well where'd that go? Time to go fight."
Blonde and blue eyes is Namor weakness because it's Emma Frost and Sue Richards.
Red hair and green eyes is the Phoenix and Wolverine's
and
weakness
Scott's.
and
But
Scott's.
then again, like maybe Charles just should have put on a blonde wig and blue eyes when he went to talk to Namor in that House of X, and he might have rolled up to the party.
That is the most recent House of X. House of X number 5. 2 more in the
Spoiler.
series.
So,
Whoa.
so Marvel, if you're listening, that's a what if for your television
For real,
series.
like, hey, I could make you, or you just could do it on your own free will, bro.
I can just psychically.
So I guess one of the big questions here is, are these lasting repercussions, or is it
No.
just fighting for the fighting's sake?
Like it's really like here and there, like depending on the event and how specific we don't get to the overall theme of it. Because out of House of M, we also get like the children's crusade,
Which
where
was
it follows
amazing.
Wiccan and Speed, who are the kids of Wanda. I'm not gonna get into all of that because it's
That's a
very
whole
comic
nother
booky.
episode.
Yes, it's a whole nother episode. But after House of M, everybody was trying to find Wanda because A, she's disseminated the mutant population, and B, like she's somebody's daughter, and mother and teammate. So her children are out there in the world trying to find her, like a lot of people are. Some people have actually found her, like for example, Beast has, and he just let it be known because she really wasn't in her right mind and she really didn't remember. And Hawkeye found her and slept with her after she killed him twice. So that was weird.
That always gets me.
Yeah, he's like, I hate you.
Is that how you kiss? Is that how you kiss?
Hey, depending on how it goes. Like,
That might explain something.
He's talented in other ways.
Not to say that was not talented.
Hey,
it was
I'm
creative.
saying, you got to give them what they want.
That's
all I'm saying.
Yes, you do.
But then again, you have that happen. Then you have dissemination when the mutants were, like I said, dwindled down to like 192 or 98 for X amount of years.
X.
Yep.
Well played.
Yep. Unintended. Then you had like A versus X. They gave us like Hope Summers and all that. Then you had Cyclops becoming a villain and Professor X dying.
That was huge,
and
man.
Professor X dying by the hands of Scott, the Boy Scout, the Captain America of the X-Men universe. His first recruit. Yeah, his disciple. Like his son of like if Charles is God, Scott's Jesus, then the Holy Spirit will be, I don't know.
You don't have to cram this square peg into the round
I'm
hole.
like, you get what I'm going for.
Beast is the Apostle Paul.
Beast might be Judas.
Jean
with
Grey
that
is
bullshit.
Mary. Jean Grey is Mary
Magdalene.
No. Just
Mary.
Just Mary. Emma Frost is Mary Magdalene.
Madeline Pryor would be Mary Magdalene.
Yeah,
she wasn't even a real woman.
She would.
And she actually had. All right.
So hold on. What's the real about
all right, let's go back in.
repercussions?
We are getting FedEx.
We better be. We already there. But no, like certain things happen. Like I said, A versus X. That leads way into some other things like the Uncanny Avengers being assembled because after Charles dying and Cyclops being like the new mutant bad boy terrorist of the world, Captain America's like, yo, some of this does fall on other heroes because we're not there for our mutant brothers and sisters. We need to come together. We need unity. So he created the Avengers Mutant Unity Squad called the Uncanny Avengers, which was first led by Havoc. I think after like Axis, it was ended up being Rogue who led the team.
Sure.
But that came from that. But then you had other blase events like Catalyst and the Ultimate Universe that basically was all created so Miles could come over to the main 616 universe.
But with Uncanny Avengers, it's not the first time we've seen mutants on an Avengers team, but this was more like working in tandem instead of like, well, we've got Wolverine here, and that's great. We got Beast here, and that's cool. But kind of going a little bit before that, after Avengers Disassembled, after Civil War, after these heroes being at each other's throats, we see the perfect opening for one of my favorite status quo changes, and that's Secret Invasion. The Skrulls had been waiting because everyone in the universe is waiting for Earth to fuck up to just kind of get in there and smack that loudmouth kid in the face.
Yes, they are.
This was such a great story that I think got ruined by Captain Marvel, the movie.
Really?
Aww.
The Skrulls?
There's still a chance. There's still a chance.
Who do you trust?
They're homies.
Well, some of the Skrulls.
Yeah, that was in the 90s. Back in the 90s, we had Surge Cola. That's not around anymore.
Ooh.
Oh, so maybe you're right. So maybe their alignment went the way of Surge Cola.
Yeah.
Okay.
We loved it, and then we realized what it was doing to our bodies.
Because they got to introduce the bad Skrulls. They're like, nah, we can't trust them now. So it's going to be that dynamic between the good
all
ones
the
and
alliances, twice the duplicity.
But
Secret Invasion.
With Secret Invasion, you see the Skrulls coming in. They've infiltrated heroes. They've infiltrated just normal people, and it's great because you don't know who to trust. And I think it's a
It's
much like that burp. It's much like that burp that just happened right there. I thought I could control it, and eventually
you can't control
it got
the
away
wind,
from
baby.
me.
And then everybody paid for it.
That's right. Yeah.
But do you want to tell them what the catalyst or the starting point of the Secret Invasion
So
is?
it goes all the way back down to Reed Richards. And him turning these Skrulls into cows. And that pissed them off at the very beginning. They're like, why would you do that to our people?
Further back than I thought. But
like,
yes, you are absolutely right.
You thought you should have just killed them instead of disgracing them by turning them into livestock.
But he thought that was the humane way to handle the situation.
Right, yeah.
It's the bovine way.
Even Even though he's the world's smartest man, but
So eventually you get a group called the Illuminati, and that's comprised
Yep.
of some of the best, the
All the
cream of
smart
the
folks.
crop.
the heads
You've
of
got
certain groups.
Doctor Strange, you've got Tony Stark, you've got not Captain America. Did I say Black Bolt already?
Nope.
Black Bolt, Namor, and Professor
Professor
X. And they're all
Reed
together.
Richards.
Reed Richards.
And Doctor
T'Challa.
Strange.
T'Challa was a part of it for the initial.
They came
he left
to him,
for
he
a
was
while.
like,
He came back
no.
later, and he said the same thing Cap says in the later iteration of the Illuminati. He goes, "You guys, what happens when you realize?" I'm not going to do the Black Panther voice, but
Give it a shot.
Go ahead. It's not racist.
listen here, young men.
No, they stop. No,
Because he
they
sounds
stop.
like a leprechaun.
There comes a day or two when you're going to be a little too powerful, a little too gung ho, and on
The
that
Black
day,
Irish Panther.
All my Lucky Charms.
and I'm not going to be a part of it. I can't
Are
be
the
a part of
heart-shaped
it.
herbs?
So he says, you know, you guys are gonna have too much power. You're gonna go at it. It's gonna be fucking stupid. And he leaves. Eventually,
They get too
Civil
powerful
War.
and
They
too
get too
stupid.
powerful and too stupid. And exactly what he says was gonna happen. It happens. Civil War happens. They can't even trust each other in the same room. But Elektra dies. But when she dies, her skin changes. She gets that creepy little chin.
Balchinian.
Balchinian.
That Thanos fat.
And they realize, oh shit, how long have we been infiltrated? No one picked it up that she wasn't her, which meant they found a way to infiltrate without mutants picking it up, without superheroes picking it up, without Tony Stark's fucking
With all the telepaths
technology,
picking it up.
nothing.
Yeah.
They
Thank you,
found a way.
Bendis.
Thank you, Bendis. Before he got,
Not too many of those for me, but yo, thank you, Bendis.
he did some good stuff, and then he's like, oh, my fart smells so good. Anything I do is amazing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No.
Anyway,
Who do
so
you think you are, Hickman?
that's right.
Right.
Yeah, you're not
Hickman.
Jonathan Hickman.
Let's bring back the original X-Men from the 60s.
So it starts off with showing these aliens saying, "Oh, well, we're here because God told us to," and it's not a bad thing. But
What happened to the people they were impersonating?
oh, we don't know it from the beginning. They could just be dead. They might be dead. At one point in the Savage Land, heroes go and they encounter themselves, but older versions of themselves. Some of them turn out to be the real deal. Others are sleeper cell agents, like the Captain Marvel. He's there, and
that was tough.
It was so hard to read
was
because he's
tough.
there, and in his dying breath, he's like, "I'm Captain Marvel. I'm Captain Marvel. I'm the savior of the people." As his skin is changing, and he's going back to being a Skrull, he was so indoctrinated. He was so believing his cover story that you're like, "Oh shit!" Same happened with Captain America.
Exactly. So, how did the Skrulls learn how to infiltrate our society that well?
Well, it was actually really interesting because they had the DNA of Reed Richards, Tony Stark, and the Illuminati that they captured. They eventually escaped with the help of She-Hulk on the Fantastic Four team. They did escape. But with the DNA, they just cloned them, made them think they were in a situation, so that way they had to use Reed's intellect to come up with a solution. It came with not fighting them and having them fight the Skrulls, but having a little Skrull, a little midget Skrull, a little fucking weirdo Skrull.
A leprechaun scroll, you might say.
And he comes up and he goes,
I think
"I
they're
tried
gonna
to
be-
tell you, Daddy. I'd like to know. I've had a bad dream. What if they came and they infiltrated? Would we know that they were not us?" And he goes, "Listen, my son. I can tell you for sure. If they came, I'd know. Not you, but me." And so then Reed goes and he's like, "Well, let me figure out how they would do it." And he does. And then the Skrull comes in from the outside room, blasts him in the fucking face. Everyone around him, Sue, the kid, are all transformed back into Skrulls, and they're like, "Ew, human juice." And they figure out this is how we infiltrate. And it works fucking perfectly.
Yes, and it does.
So eventually they figure it out. The real Reed finds a way to disrupt it, and they come back, and it's a huge fucking fight. You get Nick Fury and his, I don't know if they're Howling Commandos at that point, but you've got Phobos, who is the son of Ares.
I think they were
and
the
he's-
Secret Avengers,
Something like that,
or like
yeah.
the proto form of that team.
Thor comes back after being MIA for years.
Yep.
Even Matt
Ragnarok.
Gargan fights for Earth. And who was it? All the villains are in a pub watching them fight, and the Hood's like, "If the world ends, it's bad for business, huh, guys?"
Yeah.
And they're
Who
like,
we gonna steal
"Shit.
from?"
Okay, we got to go fight with the fucking heroes and help them
Huzzah!
save the world. they end up doing it, but it's one of the beautiful things where Norman Osborn placed himself this whole time to be the one to take the
yeah.
killing shot. And that's one of those repercussions that does come from it. because they realized we couldn't trust anyone, and the one person to do it was the leader of the Thunderbolts. Yes, he was a crazy person for a while, but he's been reformed, and that's where we get the Dark Avengers.
And that's how they low-key try to create the resurgence of Jessica Drew Spider-Woman.
That's right.
Because the Queen of the Skrulls was replacing her this whole time.
And that fucked her up, man.
Yeah, it did.
So I like that one because it's still, anytime from then on, someone acts out of character and they're like, Skrull!
Yeah, scrolly was a word. I was using that with my friends that only read comic books, but they know if I say somebody's acting scrolly, like, I don't think that's them.
Yeah.
And if you know me, you know I've asked people if they've been replaced by an alien demon or some type of genetically engineered clone of themselves.
Right.
Because I don't know until I ask you. I don't expect you to tell me the truth, but I won't know if you do.
You watch that body language.
Yeah, you got to, because some people just don't be acting like them.
I'm just 3 badgers in a suit right now.
And I already assume this
look
government
like
type shit is going on, so just tell me the truth. I'll be all right with it, because I've seen clones before.
I thought the whole thing was fascinating because it dealt with the concept that you have all these masked superheroes and everybody in these loose affiliated teams that sometimes have an X somewhere on their outfit and other times completely unrelated costumes where they all just live in the same house with the same butler. And so, but nobody flashes an ID card. Nobody takes their mask off and does the retina scan or anything to understand who they are. And even that wouldn't have helped in this case. But the point is,
but I was saying
but the point is that for so long, for decades, you just assumed that whenever Captain America, somebody with this big shield with a star on it, walks in the room, it was Captain America. And so, and we dealt with life model decoys and things like that before, but nothing on a scale like this.
Well, and life model decoys in Secret Invasion was one of the best things because it's just like 3 panels, and Maria Hill's there talking to Jarvis, who's been a Skrull this whole time.
Oh, Jarvis was.
And they unload on her, and turns out it was an LMD, and she's up there with a jetpack with a bazooka. She's like, "Gotcha, bitch."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those again, this whole epic saga is resolved, but then it answers a question, and it brings everyone back to where they were essentially
for the most part. Again, Dark Reign really hit.
So we have to distill all of the tiny events out from the epic events.
If you're calling Dark Reign a small event,
but it depends on what you could classify as tiny and epic.
Exactly right.
Tomato,
potato.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nelly Furtado, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like a bird, and like a blurred, a black nerd. I'm gonna fly back to San Francisco real quick because I'm tired of Skrulls shitting on mutants because they didn't even want to fucking deal with the X-Men because they thought they were genetically inferior because they are mutants, and they have this whole thing about mutants in their species and their race, even though the Skrulls are deviants from their own initial alien creation. Because when the same thing the Celestials did on Earth, when they created the Internals and the Deviants and the normal humans, they did out on other planets, and the Skrulls are a deviant race from their version of the Eternals. But yeah, they came to San Francisco. They thought they was gonna watch the X-Men. Nah, the X-Men took care of all them motherfuckers because we was ready for them bitches. I gotta speak about that every time. See.
Well, I think one of the things, and we've talked about it, is without these events, it would just be mundane stuff. Okay, Spider-Man had to fight, this person for X amount of time.
Yeah,
oh no, Kraven's back.
Rocket Racer.
But
He's
then
popping ollies on the Empire State Bridge.
Those middle ground stories without the events, I think it builds the character enough so that way when the time comes, you can say, here's what you've learned, here's what you've been through, and then you yeet them into battle, and you see how they come out. There have been some really, really shitty event books that turn everything on their head. Nothing will be the same. And they're just copy and paste of the original with a few tweaks here and there.
All right. Are you trying to lead me into Civil War 2?
I'm trying to talk to you about Civil War 2.
Okay.
I will also put Original Sins and
Original Sin was good!
Access on my list. Not
The Death
really.
of the Watcher? Are you kidding?
Nobody watches him, so did we even see that coming?
The introduction of Silk and of Angela and of... Are you
Silk
kidding?
who?
Oh.
Silk Stockings?
Cindy Moon, you motherfucker.
No, I'm saying respect to her, diversity and all that jazz, but come on now. The best thing that came out of Original Sin was the whole Whisper to Thor, but that could have been dealt with in a Thor book. And that's one of the few things.
But this was bigger than just a Thor book. You needed Nick Fury, who knew these heroes that way.
Didn't Jason Aaron write that too?
Jason Aaron did write that.
Yeah, see, that's one of the few things he wrote I don't particularly like, because outside of that, nothing. Like we talking about was really changed after that. Besides Thor not being,
It gets
worthy.
you hyped up for something that isn't anything. And I will say, Jason Aaron, his most recent event, War of the Realms, which had been hyped up since the beginning of Thor's run, was just such a letdown.
It should have
was a
stayed
cash
a
grab.
Thor book
It
featuring heroes instead. I agree with that
Because it
1000%.
wasn't like Fear itself. Fear itself is
yeah.
Asgard
Jesus.
rolling on into
Fear
the-
itself was
the-
cool,
in
but
the
even
real
with
world.
that.
And
It got real boring at points.
And then you killed Bucky, he just came back. You killed Thor, he just came back.
It's like they
came
found the,
back to
the
life.
formula of...
Give him a cool armor, take it away.
But it's like the death of Superman. Not to switch genres too much, but it's still superhero. Death of
damn, we didn't
Superman
even
was
get that yet.
was a huge thing. That we
We've
saw
been on Marvel.
from there. We saw the rise of the Superman. We saw what happens in the void of a Superman. But it didn't even last, and it was something that really cheapened the whole experience.
Exactly.
To a point where it's expected now. Wolverine is dead. Okay, wait till he's contractually obligated to come back.
and then we brought back
Exactly.
4 of them.
Yeah, that's right.
You get a Wolverine. You get a Wolverine. I prefer there
Make
being
it rain
4,
Wolverines out here.
but I would prefer 4 Wolverines instead of 1 Wolverine being in every book. It makes more sense if you got 4 Wolverines.
Sure.
That's why every team gets one. But if it's the same Logan, and they're making jokes in the comic book, like I thought you were on this team, like I got a lot of teams. Like I'm a busy man. Like
Deadpool commented on that in his books, where he's like, "It feels like I've been doing more in a month than anyone is physically physically able to do," and I don't know what that's about.
Because it was putting, they were putting Deadpool in every book, more or less. He had, I don't care what book he was popping up just for an arc or two.
Yep.
Like
He even said,
Moon
"Deadpool's
Girl
on the
and
cover of
Devil
this
Dog.
issue. You're gonna sell issues."
Dinosaur.
Special
Yeah.
Deadpool variant.
Yeah, exactly. Like here I am.
I bought them.
So, talk to me about Civil War II, TJ.
Okay.
Because
So I'm going to be positive.
that's your
about-
favorite.
Yeah. Okay. So I did like it, but
It had its merits.
yeah. So here, so
Yeah.
just to describe the Civil War II, and again addresses a central question, and that is that if we're going to be fighting evil or stopping bad things from happening, like the Earth being destroyed or whatever, then wouldn't it be nice to know about that ahead of time?
Yeah.
And so,
Minority Report.
right, yeah, exactly. So can we do pre-crime?
Is that when we turn in a paper for school? Is that a Minority Report?
Yeah. That's tough. So
All my papers are Minority Reports.
So once again, we split all the heroes down the middle, and we got Captain Marvel on one side who wants to use
Ulysses.
Odyssey.
Ulysses.
Ulysses. Yeah, wants to use Ulysses' predictive power to.
You know he wasn't staying around with that name, Ulysses.
Yeah, because nobody can pronounce it. Anyway, so
In Civil War II, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Oh,
now
Yeah,
okay,
you get it now? You think
All
about
right.
I
it?
get it
You're
now.
thinking about it?
Oh shit! This time the South won. Mutants register. Oh, y'all motherfuckers picking whatever you want.
oh my god.
My bad. Flashbacks.
So Captain Marvel on one side wants to use Ulysses to help stop every bad thing from happening. On the other side, not necessarily the good side, Tony Stark, once again, bringing it back, decides that it's probably not a great idea to follow this guy's
Right.
predictions because he's not always 100% correct. He's basically right in the flavor of what happens, but
Sure.
it's not specific. And of course, to bring it home, we use Spider-Man once again. I'm about to get to your point, Daniel. So
I don't think you are.
But
The
so,
future's not concrete.
well, no. Here's my point.
That's what Tony Stark says.
Here's my point: is
my
that this
bad.
is all but a photocopy of Civil War.
Right.
First one, and we've got
But
Iron Man, we've got
split him-
Spider-Man,
You put Iron Man on the other side as the Cap
and
analog.
strangely, we also have Captain America
Mm-hmm.
that gets thrown in there. This is coming from the Pleasant Hill saga. Once again, it leads directly into Secret Empire.
And spoilers, but he's been rewritten at this point.
Yes, sort of. He's
Yeah.
been copy pasted from the Cosmic Cube outside into the real world. So because the original copy or another copy, whatever you want to call it, is
It
inside
was
the
saved
cube
on the
fighting
hard
its way out.
drive, but then they tweaked it.
So in the end, we have 2 Captain Americas now. One in custody, and the other one roaming around being Captain America. So,
Yeah, but in this Civil War too, there wasn't a chance of Cap and Tony hooking up. Because Tony brought up the fact that they've hooked up before, and Captain Marvel was like, "Really, Tony?
Yeah.
He really was, have you been drinking again? You really trying to hit on me right now?" He's like, "Yo, if I seen what happened last time, so if I die this time, at least might as well."
Well, but then Captain America and Tony, they even have this moment, and yeah, it's what's it they call him, Steve-El?
yeah.
Because he's the evil Steve.
Steve.
Steve-El's like, oh yeah, I fought with Tony on this before. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
This causes all sorts of problems. Let's not arrest Miles Morales just because he's a black kid. Let's
it's a good
I'm about to
reason,
say
Denny.
I'm about to say, hey, if he's wrong, he's wrong. But it's like, do we know that he's black?
Yeah.
I mean, they know, but to the world, they don't. I don't think
His
they know that
uniform is
Miles.
black.
Even at one point, Miles, after seeing the prediction that he's supposed to kill Captain America,
Right.
he's on the roof and he's crying, and someone's like, "Put that mask back on." And I'm pretty sure it's Captain America.
Yeah. But it's like one of those things too. I'm not gonna get into the whole Blue Marvel aspect of that. But speaking of like Civil War 2 and where it leads off to what was it? Secret Empire.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that everybody got butthurt about the fact that Cap was evil, like, yo, you don't read comics.
You don't read any comics.
If you read comics, you know that's not the real Cap. And even if it was the real Cap, we all know it's gonna be retconned.
Yep.
And giving us what we're used to.
It all
Like,
takes
read the
place in a
story.
snow globe.
Yeah, before
Well-
you bitch and moan, read the story. Just like, oh, Thor can't be a woman. You don't know the comic books. If you read the comics, it all makes sense.
Well,
So,
I mean,
stop it.
that might be that might be a good measure, by the way, is whether or not it shows up on CNN that
Exactly.
Steve Rogers
Right.
is Hydra.
just like the death of Superman in 1992.
I mean, that changed everything.
I know we was about to say we're into that.
See, and
Well, we can bring
Death
that back,
of-
though.
With Death of Superman, it changed everything. People still come into the store and say, "I've got the copy of it. It's still in the plastic bag. Great, I can give you a $1."
I
Because
think it's worth $12 at
Exactly.
Mile High Comics or
Yeah.
something.
Because with the death of Superman, that is when death in comic books became meaningless.
Well, okay.
When you bring back, or let me say this: when you kill the most popular superhero of all time,
Mm-hmm.
like I've never met a human being on this earth that didn't know who Superman was or Kryptonite.
Truth. Yep.
Just those two little things. So when you kill him, that makes national news. It's on newspapers, radio stations talking about it, news stations are covering it, all that because it's that monumental. Because comic book characters, certain ones, are ingrained into our collective
Yeah,
consciousness.
they're archetypes.
Yeah, and Superman is that guy. So when he died, it was a big deal. And when he came back, it was a big deal too, because they wanted to make that money.
How long was he gone?
A week.
I don't even know.
like
Like
a year,
week,
wasn't
maybe like Dragon Ball Z time, it was a week.
Yeah.
But like comic book wise, maybe like 2 or 3 years, because then they brought in the
about
Reign of
right.
Superman with
right. The
Superboy, Cyborg Superman, the Eradicator Steel, and all those other characters.
Which was great because those characters still are referenced, still are even some of them are
Exactly.
still around.
Exactly, and they still play some form of role. They have some roles in the modern day comic books to some degree,
Well-
some more than others.
And drawing parallels with that and Civil War 2, because Civil War 2 had some good points, for the most part was steaming trash, brought us to Riri Williams.
Exactly.
Appreciate your objectivity, by the
You
way.
know, yeah,
And that was the
it's
only
good.
good thing from Civil War 2 was Riri.
Riri.
Just like with Death of Superman, we got Doomsday,
Exactly.
classic villain per se, definitely in 90s as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Superboy, Carnakit, which is
huge.
Young Justice.
Yeah.
He plays a part in any iteration of that and New Teen Titans,
Yes.
between depending on how far you want to get. Then you have John Henry Irons. The worst thing that came out of that was the Steel movie with Shaq, but he's another black superhero, black Iron Man-ish to a degree, and we always need more brothers representing their hoods and doing the right thing
Right,
in the world.
He's an Iron Black Man.
Yes, exactly. Black Iron Man.
A blacksmith
He's literally
man?
a black Iron Man. Literally.
They should have called him Blacksmith.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Missed an opportunity.
Just saying.
Oh man.
Come on, guys.
Wait,
it's right there in
low-key,
front of
when
you.
we start doing our own shit, we need
Blacksmith is
That's
gonna be
one of our own.
Oh,
bro.
it's gotta be.
But
And we're
also-
copywriting that right now. So
Hell
if
yeah.
you use it, I will
already a
flip
Marvel
this
character.
fucking table.
Hell yeah.
So I want to get to one that was a huge event that everyone thought would change everything, and then immediately was retconned by the end of it. Not even like years later.
It was a hot fart.
Flashpoint.
All right. Yeah.
Because Barry finally goes back to save his mom, and ruins everything.
I thought it was a fantastic premise, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh
was
yeah.
great.
Because eventually, after using time travel and whatever for a while, you go, why wouldn't he go back and change
Just
something?
save his mom.
Like
It makes a
go
lot
ahead.
of sense. I think now that being the pivotal moment in the entire DC universe
Yeah.
is
Boom,
probably
boom,
a stretch even for comic books. But
Well, and that was one that everyone
not
thought was going to
stretching
change
enough.
the status quo, because we had Bruce being dead,
yeah,
Yep.
His dad being, the Batman of that world.
Spoiler alert, his mom's being the fucking Joker.
Yeah.
That
was crazy.
Woo! Martha?
I mean, He's like,
Yo, they should have had her and Martha Kent both be Jokers in their own way. Because Clark wasn't even... But then again, she couldn't be because Clark was never there in the first place.
Could have been like Martha Luther. That'd have been better.
Martha Luther. The Queen?
Martha Luther.
Luther Queen?
Martha Luther Queen.
Yo, that was wordplay in general, but make her be like Oliver. Yo.
Gotta rewrite
if they were smart.
Hey, I got a name. I have a name for this too.
Yo.
It could be Flashpoint 2.
Flashpoint 2.0.
Yeah.
All right.
Write that down.
All right, let's reel this back in.
Malcolm X and the Escape Man. That's coming too. That's the end.
Malcolm X-Men?
No, that's mine, but I can't use Marvel, but there's something there, though.
So
Malcolm and the Escapees. Yo, it's there. I'm telling you, like before they said Denzel Magneto, I was already trying to write this. And for those out there that listen, you know that. I'm sorry.
Kelsey's been calling it from the beginning.
Yes.
And I've yet to talk to him about it because that smug look on his fucking face, I can only handle when he's on the dance floor.
Woo, baby.
Oh my God.
They call me DK for a reason. So that's for Dance King.
Oh my God.
Who's that girl?
It's Kelsey.
Yes. Hey, girl, hey.
We are derailing so hard here.
We apologize.
This is what happens when Gio leaves the room.
That's right.
And there's beers.
No adult supervision.
So, I guess the question is, do these events, do we need them?
Yes, of course we need them.
Well, yes, we do.
Yeah, because
they're crossovers.
What comes out? Well, there's that. They sell books,
True.
and doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's what keeps books on the shelves.
Exactly.
True.
So, and I love it. So let's do it. But also, there are no universe-changing events that happen permanently.
Right.
Usually, what happens is you take the status quo, you put it in a jar, and you shake it up a little bit, and then it all kind of. You couldn't see that on the podcast, but I shook my hands.
I make sure my elbows were on
a
the
small
table.
crying baby.
Yeah, no.
Shaky baby syndrome. I remember that.
But
became a thing in the 90s.
But you take that and you ask a couple of questions. You get challenged. People come down on opposite sides. We all you have epic fights, great artwork usually, and then we all come out of it with a couple of changes.
Yeah.
Usually pretty small ones, but depending on how they're played, they get to be more important later. So I mean, you have all of this Civil War II. Ulysses ends up going and becomes like a godhead somewhere part of the universe.
Once he realizes that he has that power.
He bleeds into like the Mind Stone or some shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
but he
becomes one consciousness.
Yeah, he's gone, right? The Inhumans are set up to fall here in the next 2 years, but but in the end, what we get out of it is we have Miles Morales.
Yep.
We have evil Steve Rogers in Secret Empire.
Steve-o.
So
that dude's gonna come back.
But it's because it's just like the clones from the X-Men from the Brood Wars. They're still floating in space.
Did the Maker have something to do with Civil War II? Was he in there?
No.
Okay, just all right. I'm gonna pull that back.
Don't get crazy.
I'm gonna pull that back. All right, I'm gonna pull that back a little bit.
But so do we need them? Yeah, I think so because they shake some things up. They give us this massive climatic event and we don't want it to change. Honestly, we want things to change. We don't really want our stuff to change.
Sure.
And so we get small things. And so it turns into another great experiment to pull out some really awesome new features.
Yeah.
I guess one of the ones that I wanted to save to the end because I'm a selfish little bitch like that.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But for me, it's my favorite one, and it's written by my favorite author. And the artwork is some of my favorite. And that is Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman.
Oh!
Because it felt like the end of everything.
Yes, it did, because it technically was the one.
It was technically the end of Universe 616, and one of the things that happened, when the incursion finally happened, it said, Earth 616, from when it started, the original start date of Marvel, to now. And that was its tombstone. And you're like, oh, shit.
Damn.
For real.
Where are we at now? And it did change some stuff. Fantastic Four were gone at the end.
Yeah.
Victor.
They were on hiatus.
We knew where they were, though.
No.
Or at least we knew what they were doing.
We
knew they
there.
were, us the readers knew they were out there.
Right.
The world as it is after the events did not.
But that's what brought Miles into the universe. That's just because his homeworld
from
was
Catalysm.
Gone. Yes.
Well, yeah.
Cataclysm, yes.
And Secret Wars, because he came back, and now Peter's his mentor. His mom's
gave
alive
us the
again.
Thor corpse.
The Thor corpse. Oh!
With Storm as Thor.
With Storm.
That was some shit.
You never go. That's
Storm?
always beautiful.
Yeah.
A black woman with a hammer
And
laying down the thunder.
You should
and
read
the
Black
lightning.
Hammer. Because it's a black woman with a hammer who's named Black Hammer.
Word.
Yeah.
Hey, you learn something new every day. I'm not the only one escaping at the moment.
But that one, it was a thing where we all thought it was going to change. All these characters had the last days of insert their name here. But then when it came back,
there were a couple.
it was
of,
Tuesday.
There were a couple of smaller changes.
Sure.
So things like Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom was this weird ass hero guy.
He tried to be
looked awesome. He was all like
righteous.
GQ.
Yes.
And he was rolling around as the infamous Iron Man. So, which is
That's where the Maker came back in.
Yes, he came back in there because that dude.
So there were some.
And
Some
came from
minor
Miles
things.
Universe too.
I mean, if you want to go, you want to roll back the clock to to 1986, right? To original Secret Wars.
That's what I was gonna get to. too.
So now that was totally a cash grab, right? That's where. I mean, what's the term? It's not my phraseology, but it comes from Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. So it's where they took all
Jay Miles Explaining the X-Men has another podcast that talks about comic book stuff. Seriously, check them out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All about the X.
And they said, so where you take all the superheroes, put them in a jar, shake them up, and make a fight, just so that Mattel could sell more action figures.
And we get that dope ass Spider-Man cartoon 2-part episode.
Oh, yeah.
It might have been more than 2 parts, but yeah, we get that from
And
the
the
mid-90s.
black suit came from
But
that.
yeah, and so
And that's what my biggest thing too. I'm sorry to cut you out, TJ.
well, no, so they all go to Battle World, right? And they all win, whatever, and they all go back. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that really changes is Superman, or not Superman, is the Spider-Man with the black uniform.
Right.
The
right.
black uniform that gives us Venom, and plus we have the Beyonder as a villain. Other than that,
Right. I think you mean the Anti-Monitor. Or no, sorry, you're right.
no,
yeah,
no,
the Beyonder.
no, the Beyonder, and also
Same
gives us the first.
person. They're
Was
the
that the
same
first instance
person.
that we get Doom being the first time we get Doom grabbing that
Yes.
godlike ability?
Yes.
Yep. And that's
Which
when
we
he-
will see him do time and time and time.
He got a
and time
taste of
again
it, and he had
for the first
no
time.
idea how to let go.
But like you said though, like with Secret Wars, the first one, and then we had the latest one by Hitman. That's the first time Marvel has kind of did a complete universal reboot. Unlike DC, when it feels like every like 5 years ish, we get a new crisis, and then they
Convergence.
revert all of it back to one, just to give us it's just a different Earth.
Yes.
We don't create the multiversal every time there's a crisis. That's a different Earth. Now we're gonna create a whole different Earth instead of being one universe.
It's, and I guess I want to see more fallout from these things.
Yes.
I want to see these people struggling with the events that, oh my God, we just had to fight our teammates. Instead of, okay, well, hey, I'm going to go grab a coffee. Did you want one, Luke Cage? Great. I know I just hunted you down. Oh, you know what? This one's on me.
What happens in Battle World stays in Battle World.
Hey, you already know. Except for that herp. Yo. There's no Obamacare on that motherfucker. Yo, you just gonna live with that son of a bitch.
No Beyonder care.
It flares up like Johnny Storm saying "flame on," like damn. But no, that's just like it's one of those things too. Like depending on the event and the titles, like the major crossovers don't last too long overarching, but it feels like more intimate when it's like singular books. For example, like Schism with the X-Men that we talked about before.
Yeah.
That lasted years because it was a direct effect to the X-Men. Just like Dissemination, the Messiah Complex, Messiah War, the Second Coming. You might not know about it outside of the X-Men, but with them, that was happening every issue. Everything came from that. But then you have the overall Marvel where we don't talk about that because that doesn't affect the overall brand.
Right.
Because like one of the last ones prior to this generation that was mutant based was Onslaught in the late 90s or mid 90s when Charles shut down Magneto's brain and their consciousness fused and it created Onslaught. It wiped out all the Avengers because they had to jump inside of them. Long story short, to destroy them from the inside out. But that was all marketing too because they weren't selling. It was all about the X-Men and Spider-Man, so those are the two comic books that still remain post that. Then they try to reboot them. The Heroes Reborn with Franklin Richards and all that jazz. So a lot of it goes into marketing as well. Like, all right, who can we kill off? Who can we pump up?
Who's expendable?
Yeah, the Inhumans. Oh, we want to bump them up. Let's make them the focal point of Civil War 2.
Inhumans versus X-Men.
Yes,
So-
let's bump them up just to be like...
We're getting to the end, and we're actually real close to the end of this episode. So I want to hear your guys' final thoughts on these kind of events. With how impactful they are, I guess, or just feel free. We're all naked here right now. Just go with the flow.
You don't have to talk.
Yo, if you really want to see if we're naked or not, you got to get the Patreon. That's coming real soon. You know,
we are gonna get that set up. For $5 a month, you can see.
I'm a little afraid of that too.
You can see me from the knees down.
Yo, if you want to see my chocolate chips, you can go ahead and donate $20. It is what it is, yo.
$20. You're gonna have to get to the double platinum level to get to see mine.
Double P? Oh,
because it's reflective.
Oh wait,
or translucent or something.
Or it's hard to get out, like Cabrera and Court. Never mind.
Anyway, TJ,
Thanks.
final thoughts.
All right, so I really do like all these epic events, as they tend to mark the timeline, as in my memory of all the comic events, and things tied to one another. I mean, you saw us talking about we're trying to distill it down to the prime epic events,
right.
And we can't. It leads to this. It came from that. It helped this, and so. So I like the epic events because it gives us an opportunity to shake some things up and then to introduce a couple of new concepts here and there. I would much prefer these be the epic events of yesteryear, back in like Secret Wars, when the original Secret Wars, when
there was no people of color around.
That's right. When we kept it all white. No, but when
there's a couple of chocolate sprinkles around there.
You and the chocolate today.
Yo, It is what it is, man. White chocolate Reese's Pieces cups are the best, just FYI.
So you were saying, TJ?
Anyway, so these events, all the other comic books, all the other comic lines took a pause, and they were involved in this line. And that doesn't necessarily happen so often anymore.
No.
So, but I do think that a lot of these epic events happen just so we can set the characters up so they can go out on their separate little storylines and then have serious things happen to them then.
Okay, yeah. Kelsey.
I think overall the events are good because you see what sticks and what don't.
Right.
You can see what characters pop and what characters you need to scale back on and maybe like rethink about their future and their endeavors. Like
Good point.
The first Secret Wars gave us the black costume, which led us to Venom. With Venom being more prominent with the movie, we get that movie. Now we get the whole the Necro Sword, and that connects to Thor and all that other stuff, just like with King Thor. So now all of that comes together, and it creates better stories being told by writers that enjoyed these concepts that came from these crossover events. And then you have the movies. Like, we wouldn't get Civil War. We wouldn't have got Spider-Man in that capacity with Black Panther in that movie had it not been for the comic book.
Right. True. Right.
And now, guess what everybody's talking about now that Disney has the X-Men? A versus X.
Yep.
We want to see Avengers versus X-Men.
They're talking about Secret Wars, man. They're not talking about...
No, they are. Come on, you're an X guy. We want that.
Wars.
We want to see Rogue absorb Captain Marvel's ability to get Brie Larson out here. No disrespect to Brie Larson. The character is not it right now. But we want the Rogue that we know and love that could only happen
if Rogue breaks her down.
Yeah, in an A versus X movie type. I'm not going to get into all how to play that out. That's not my job.
That's another episode.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
Write that down.
He needs that tattooed somewhere.
Real, like, whole nother episode, like 6'9" right there on the face. Not because it's 6'9" because I'm a snitch, nah. But only rack I respect is Master Splinter. But no, like, crossover events need to happen. It's always fun to see characters interact with each other that you don't see regularly. I think they need to be a little more small, like Spider-Man Island, maybe a Venom thing here.
We're getting a Venom Island because they're just copy and pasting old events.
Exactly. Just like the X-Men thing here, then maybe like every 2 or 3 years you give us one. You don't have to give us one every summer.
And multiple ones a year. It gets tiring. And, it gets a little tiring, which is why I love independent comics.
Consuming of the funds. Like, it's expensive to buy all these books. Then they try to hit you with the... That's the main. All right. The main problem with crossovers are the tie-ins.
Wrap it up.
All right, sorry.
Another episode here.
Exactly. Tie-ins mainly are non-essential.
True.
Very much so. We don't need the tie-ins. Just give us a strong, singular 12. Don't give me 6 with a bunch of tie-ins. Give me just 12 strong. Cool. Stop doing that because that's a cash grab and it'd be butt. And nothing comes from them tie-ins. Nothing really. Besides, if you're an X-Men fan, you seen them doing what they're doing. Secret Invasion or War Hulk. When Hulk came to see how Xavier would have handled the situation about his vote, And Xavier's like, I would have voted to get you the fuck out here too. And Hulk like, word. Then you get another Wolverine Hulk fighting Wolverine Hulk. I'm not gonna get into that. Read the book.
God damn it.
That's all I'm saying.
I guess I'll leave it with me saying I think they're great because as a kid I liked throwing all my toys in one area and then seeing who would have to fight who.
Exactly, just like in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Exactly, it's fantastic. I personally,
for what reason?
As a kid, I would once a character was killed off, I'd go and I'd put him in a box for a few weeks and then bring him back out.
Just to teach him a lesson?
Right. I'm like...
You gonna learn today.
This is what happens when you fail me.
You better roll a natural 20 next time.
You came, you said you could fight, and you failed.
Oh, so you were born in darkness.
So, I think they're great. I think they have their places. I just wish that there was more fallout. I wish that consequences mattered. I wish that if someone was dead, you leave them dead. And
like Thunderbird.
Like Thunderbird. But, I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. I think we all kind of fell on the same side of this, not necessarily where TJ would have fallen on the Civil War side. The real Civil War side.
Maybe. You don't know.
Tomato, man. It's cool.
And just like Nelly Furtado, we are going to fly away here. TJ, anything you like to plug?
I'd like to plug this excellent beer we've been
Which
drinking.
we are not sponsored by.
Not sponsored by. This is a no frills, no authority plug here, I guess. Escape to Colorado IPA by Epic Brewing.
Ooh.
It's actually India Pale Ale. I don't usually like those, but they're pretty good today.
It was actually pretty delicious. Kels, what you got for us?
Let's see. Like, speaking of crossover events, I'm assuming that you guys watched the Arrowverse on CW. If not, everything's going to start coming back for the new seasons this coming up week, which is setting up for the Crisis on Infinite Earth 5-part episode crossover on the CW. I want to make sure that you guys are going to watch it. If you have not watched everything, from Supergirl to Black Lightning, watch it all. It all connects. And I just seen a picture today of Tom Welling and the Superman and Lois Lane from Tom Welling from Smallville was on set with the Superman and Lois Lane from the Supergirl universe. So we will get them interacting. Mm-hmm. So yeah, do yourself a justice.
Where can the people find you?
Yeah. And where the people can find me, besides Colorado Springs, dancing downtown.
Oh, yeah, we've been going out every Friday dancing. Catch us at Blondie's. Come dance with us.
Yeah, besides that, on various social media outlets, Instagram, Snapchat, Kels for show, Facebook, my government name, or my slave name, if you're a mutant like myself, Kelsey Greer. It is what it is, baby.
Your name's Kelsey.
I knew the whip was coming, that's why I screamed, oh, shit.
It's like when you know you're going to get a shot, but they haven't actually put it in you yet.
Really?
You can find me on Facebook at Blue Morpho or Instagram on Blue Morpho, where the O's are zeros. Find me on Facebook, Daniel Rojas. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and just walking down the street. I won't know if you're following me or not.
No, I will, because I made sure I'm not being followed.
See, there we go.
Because I'm a follower.
As always, we recorded Escape Velocities, and we thank them very much for allowing us to record in their store. Our thoughts and opinions expressed in this podcast in no way reflect that of Escape Velocity. They're just sexy enough to let us be sexy in their store. They don't know we're naked. Only you know we're naked.
And the people walking by the front window
and now they see that we're naked.
That's right.
Weird.
They usually have a book of the week. I don't seem to have any information on that right now, but just come in and check it out. Find a new book. Get out there. Try something new.
Just read something.
Read something, Yeah. Start expanding your fucking minds.
Read something and be something to stand for.
Boom. Today we are going to leave you with a song by the band Briffaut. They've got a new album coming out on the 22nd of November, and they just had a show this past Wednesday that was at the Triple Nickel. Anyway, this is Box in the Road by Briffaut. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will see you next time, and remember, there can only be one chum bucket.
And yes, if you're feeling like you're stuck in a cage, bound by ropes, I don't know, sleeping with the fishes, cement shoes, you can always be escaping with us on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play. Be an escapee and stay uncanny.